Welcome to the College Investor Audio Show, where we talk about the biggest issues impacting millennial money, from student loan debt to side hustles to building wealth. We will show you how to get out of debt so that you can build real wealth for the future.
Hello there, and welcome to yet another College Investor Audio Show. Thanks so much for being a part of things. Now, it's always nice to have a guarantee, especially when you have a check, that it's going to clear the bank. Cashier's checks are a form of payment where the payer's bank guarantees that funds will be available to the person being paid. They're a form of secured payment that make it easier for sellers to trust buyers. This guide explains when to use cashier's checks and what to expect when you request one from your bank. So what are cashier's checks? Well, basically, a cashier's check is a document that looks and acts a lot like a personal check. It's a document with the payee's name, and the check is written for a certain dollar amount. However, cashier's checks are different in one respect. The funds for the check are guaranteed funds. That means the moment you request a cashier's check, your bank removes that dollar amount from your checking account. Because the bank does this, the check is guaranteed to clear. The guaranteed funds offer a layer of security for people receiving the funds. It's really nice. So when should I use a cashier's check, you might ask? Well, in general, a cashier's check makes sense when you're doing a person-to-person transaction that involves a lot of money. Some landlords require their renters to pay via a cashier's check. You may use a cashier's check if you're trying to buy a used car, for example, maybe a boat or RV from a private seller, like your neighbor. A general contractor might also ask for a cashier's check for a remodel, depending on the nature of the transaction. Cashier's checks may also be allowed or required for major purchases like a house, a down payment, or a car purchase. In the past, cashier's checks may have been used to transfer funds from one bank account to another. Now today, electronic funds transfer, EFT, or automated clearinghouse, ACH, transfers are usually quicker and safer. In general, banks and credit unions charge a modest $5 to $20 fee for a cashier's check, so you don't want to use them for every transaction, but the added layer of security makes them a really good option for big purchases where the involved parties don't really know or trust each other. So where can you get one? All right, so the best place to get a cashier's check is just from a credit union or a bank that has your checking account. Some banks will allow you to buy a cashier's check without an account, but the policies on that vary by institution. If a bank does allow you to buy a cashier's check, you'll need to bring the cash to the bank. Some banks, especially those that don't have branches, will issue cashier's checks online. The bank will allow you to specify the address where the check should be sent to. Be sure to get the address exactly right. Cashier's checks are guaranteed funds. Banks are unlikely to reissue a cashier's check without a lot of hassle, so make sure that address is right. What do I need to actually get a cashier's check? To get a cashier's check, you just need all of this. Money, of course. You need either cash or money in your checking account to get a cashier's check. The name of the payee. Banks typically don't issue blank cashier's checks, so you'll need the person's name or the business name for the check to be valid. Photo ID. Your bank will request for your driver's license or a passport or something like that, so the teller can just verify your identity. An account. Sometimes. Now, the easiest place to get a cashier's check is from your bank or your credit union. Some banks only issue cashier's checks to their customers. If you don't have a bank account, call the branches ahead of time to learn the bank's policy. Can I cash a cashier's check? Yes, it's easy to deposit a cashier's check into any savings or checking account. Most banks will allow you to deposit the check via a mobile app, ATM, or even through an in-person deposit. But if your goal is to get cash, like physical paper money, you'll need to jump through a little bit of some hoops. You can visit a bank branch where you have a checking account and request to cash the check. Since the funds are guaranteed, the bank will generally allow you to cash the check immediately. You can also cash the check at the issuing bank. For example, if the check came from Wells Fargo, you can cash it at a Wells Fargo branch. Finally, you can usually cash checks at Walmart's Money Center, but Walmart does charge $4 to cash checks smaller than $1,000 or $8 to cash a check larger than $1,000. So what are some alternatives to cashier's checks? Aside from those, there are several ways to transfer guaranteed funds to another person. Or you can use a money order, for example, or a wire transfer for large amounts. Please note, there is a lot of wire transfer fraud, so you need to be very careful about making wire transfers. For smaller stuff like, cash as in dollar bills, or person-to-person payment apps like Venmo or PayPal, those might make a little bit more sense. That was a short one today, but I hope that helps in case anybody's ever asked you for a cashier's check and you're like, what? I don't know. Here's my PayPal. Thanks for stopping by again to the College Investor Audio Show. If you ever have any questions about anything at all, money related, investing, even side gigs and where to find them, it's all at thecollegeinvestor.com. Have an awesome day, and we'll talk to you again very soon.